Is a legal segment tonight. The concept of equal justice for all is collapsing in America. As you may know, 49-year-old Kim Davis, county clerk in Kentucky, ordered to jail last Thursday for refusing to issue a marriage license to same-sex couples. Ms. Davis cited religious belief. She was finally ordered to be released this afternoon. But in San Francisco, Sheriff Ross Mercarimi is refusing to enforce immigration law. Yet he's not been arrested, even after the murder of 32-year-old Kate Steinle by a criminal alien that he released. With us now, attorneys and Fox News analyst Kimberly Guilfoyle and Lise Wheel. So I said last week that Ms. Davis has to obey the law.
Sure. Yes.
She is an elected official, has to obey it.
Yes.
Mercarimi isn't obeying it,
no.
So explain that.
It goes back to a 1997 decision, Prince v. United States, where Montana and Arizona, two sheriffs there said, hey, you federals, you guys are making us implement the Brady law, the handgun law. We don't want to do that. You can't force us to do that. They went all the way to the Supreme Court. Scalia wrote the majority decision saying, they're right. The sheriffs are right. You feds cannot enforce the states to enforce those gun laws.
Okay, so there was a 5-4 decision.
Yes, it was.
All right, and the Brady law was some restrictions on the purchases of guns. Sheriff in Montana, sheriff in Arizona said, we don't like that law, but we're not going to enforce it. And Scalia and the conservative justices said, you don't have to enforce it. Now it's coming out back to bite them on the butt.
Well, right, because they're saying federal government cannot compel states to enact and enforce these administrative or federal regulatory programs. So that's different versus you look at the case here where she's refusing, Ms. Davis, to issue the same-sex licenses. That is an individual constitutionally protected right that has been case law on all points.
So it's a personal right versus
a regulatory
but it's a law, though. It was a federal law.
Somebody's got to bring a case, Bill, then.
You're looking at the 10th Amendment versus the 14th Amendment.
Hold on.
Okay.
Somebody's got to do what?
I think someone has to bring a case, then, in order for the court to find a way to say that they must compel the states to follow the law. Right now, there is no individual plaintiff.
So the Steinle family, is suing the sheriff and the city. The Steinle family could expand that lawsuit against whom? What could they do?
To pose the question to say, should the San Francisco local authorities be compelled to follow federal regulatory laws
so right now
to immigration and enforce it?
In other words, there was a lawsuit brought in Kentucky when this woman did this, right?
Yes.
So there was a plaintiff there, four plaintiffs.
Yeah, but it's an individual rights thing.
Correct.
But in this case, right now, what we have in this country is if a local sheriff doesn't want to enforce a national law, they don't have to.
They don't have to. They may, but they don't have to.
That's insane.
But the ruling is you may not compel. Okay, so the state and local ordinances have the ability and the right to be able to enforce the laws then as they see fit and to adhere to them or not.
They cannot be enforced.
That's insane because you could go and get into espionage. You can get into a whole bunch of things. All right, now,
let's see if
Bo Bergdahl, he's coming up for trial in October, okay? Now the prosecution wants a new charge, which is, Guilfoyle?
Yeah, well, this is really interesting. It's called misbehavior before the enemy by endangering the safety of a command unit or place. Now, this is a law that's been on the books for a long time. It was used quite frequently during World War II, but it has been used only sparingly in years since. But now we're seeing with the role of, combat and more troops committed, ground forces, that you see a few more times this is popping up. It does carry a life top, which means he could be, if convicted, held life without possibility of parole.
It has to do with being a coward, really. That's what it comes down to.
If you leave your crew, on the battlefield,
and endanger them by your cowardice,
then it's misbehavior on what?
Yes. Misbehavior
before the enemy by endangering the safety of a command unit or place.
Allegedly he did because members of his unit in Afghanistan were killed looking for him.
6 of them were. So, I mean, this is really...
So this could carry a life term.
Yes, and that's why the prosecutors
desertion
went with this, because desertion only carries 5 years.
So he's in even more trouble today than he was when it was just desertion, right?
Yeah, this is a much stronger, more compelling charge. I think it is appropriate based on the facts we know, and then, the tribunal
And that'll delay the trial even further, though, because the prosecution just lodged this charge.
Yeah, it's set for September 17th. The defense has asked for so many extensions by now. I think they may go forward at September 17th.
All right,
the evidence isn't going to change any.
We appreciate it as always. Thank you. Directly ahead, Glenn Beck. He's angry about the Iranian nuke deal and about the lack of media coverage for his Unity rally in Alabama. Beck is next.